A lot of news on a Monday. I think we have three stories that could be our top story, but I'm going to do the Brown one first because it's not over yet. The manhunt is still going. We don't have this guy in custody, and this happened on Saturday. And so we're looking at that first 48-hour rule to where if we don't get something off about this guy soon, the window of opportunity is getting questionably long over here. So going to the Brown shooting, manhunt's underway. This was a report from ABC about 2 hours ago.
Let's turn now to Providence, Rhode Island, where officials have released the person of interest in the fatal mass shooting at Brown University. The search now continues for the shooter behind this weekend's attack that left 2 students dead and 9 others injured. Officials released this surveillance footage showing the person they believe carried out the shooting on Saturday. Police called on the public to send them any additional video evidence that could help with the investigation, and that includes ring footage and videos taken inside buildings on campus. They say there is no immediate threat to the public at the moment.
So the weird part about being in my position right now is I am being told a whole lot of details from online sources that just aren't coming out through the larger platforms. And I'm not just saying like this is the mainstream media. I mean like even Fox News isn't reporting some of the stuff that you can see if you go on X right now. But you've got to be careful because X really, or not just X, but all the social media rumor mill people kind of got embarrassed because the first person that they detained in the shooting on Brown University, everybody was rushing. All right, we're playing the racial bingo. First off, is it somebody on our team or is it somebody on their team? And the first piece of evidence you have is, well, what color are they? You know, because if it's an Arab Muslim, well, it's been highly correlated to terror attacks. You know, if it's a white guy, is it an Antifa white guy? Is it a MAGA white guy? You know, you play this sick little game that we all just kind of have to play here. And it turned out that this first guy that they detained, it doesn't matter what he was because they let him go. Now, they don't say he's exonerated, but they say, well, we found enough information that we had to release him. Had to release him? You didn't want to release him because he was exonerated? So the language has been really vague. And I understand them kind of tiptoeing around it because the manhunt's still going on and you don't want him to know how much you know about him. And so, you know, especially in this first 48 hours, they've got to be careful with it. But they're being more than careful with it. The mayor of Providence had like a 3-minute interview with George Stephanopoulos on Good Morning America today. He didn't answer a single question. He didn't. And when I say he didn't answer a question, words came out of his mouth, but that was about it. So, in fact, I'll play you that audio coming up next. Also, there was the terror attack that happened in Bondi, Australia, where 2 Muslims who got some guns and just started squeezing off rounds at a Jewish Hanukkah celebration on Bondi Beach. And that is absolutely horrifying, the footage from that. Not in the fact that, you know, I've never seen anyone get shot on video before. It lasts over 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes, 2 dudes walking around, popping shots, trying to kill as many people as they can. Now we're going to, you know, do the regular, what lessons can we learn here? Oh, they should try gun control like Australia did. Oh, wait, this is Australia. Haha. And that point still stands. But it doesn't stop there because there was another terror attack that was supposedly thwarted in Southern California. They were promising or preparing, I should say, practicing their IEDs out in the desert. I have that audio from the U.S. District Attorney there coming up as well. Also in the news, we lost 3 servicemen in Syria from a terror attack as well. So 3 of the 4 top stories I have for you today are Muslim terror attacks. The 4th one might still be, we don't know. Another thing that's oddly selective reporting here is when they talk about the victims. This is CBS News talking about the victims today. Look at how little detail you get.
And CBS News has confirmed the identities of the 2 victims killed in the shooting. You can see them on your screen here. We continue to learn more about those 2 victims, and we'll bring you updates as they come into our newsroom. CBS News correspondent Jared Hill.
Yeah, and then she moves on. They had their pictures, they had their names on the screen, but she didn't read out their names. She didn't point out their race or their ethnicity or their religion. She didn't point out if they were political targets of some sort. their ideologies, their identity groups. Isn't that weird? And in the world of identity politics, we just left all that out. To be fair, one was a female, like a pretty little blonde lady, who the online sources say she was the vice president of the Campus Republicans Club. I haven't seen that confirmed in any larger platforms other than the rumor mill. The other guy's name was like Muhammad, which is sounds like Muhammad, but it's just misspelled. And then he has like a long sort of Russian last name. And I'm told he's Uzbek. And I have audio from his roommate. So stick around. We've got a whole lot going on today. But Christmas is for caring. And this week, we are going to be raising money for the Denton State Living Center. And look, roll some Christmas music, Garrett. We got to make this serious here. Let's cut through all the carnage. Let's cut through all the mayhem. Let's cut through all the death and destruction, the blood and guts. We'll get to that later in the show. But there are people who need your help, and we do this every year with Neil Sperry for the Denton State Living Center. Won't you please give? Because in the Denton State Living Center, they have some people with mental disabilities who are just trying to live their best life. And this is the only time we really pay a whole lot of attention to them. We forget about them the rest of the year. But if we can raise enough money, give them a good standard of living that they wouldn't have otherwise, the state only provides them a little bit of support. Any of the niceties, any of the luxuries, any of the experiences they get to have in life outside of those walls comes from people like you. So donate at WBAP.com or call 214-525-2550. 214-525-2550. All right, coming up next on The James Show, Matt Allen. He works at a news talk station up in Providence, and he's going to give you updates about the Brown University shooting. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Thanks, Derek. Hey, welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820 FM WBAP. My next guest is going to be kind of crucial at a time like this. Matt Allen, he's a host for News Talk station up in Providence, WPRO. And I can't believe this happened on Saturday, and we still have the manhunt underway, Matt Allen. How close are we? This reminds me of the Boston Marathon bombers. We don't usually get manhunts that last more than a couple hours, and I remember that one lasted for a few days, and that was kind of ugly. And it may be the same, or at least a similar scenario. Do we have any inkling of this guy's motive? No, it's just a silhouette. I saw that. It's terrible. Well, I see one of the victims is being proclaimed online as the vice president of the campus Republicans. Can you confirm or deny that rumor? And I hate to say, well, there's a little bit of motive there because you have one guy with a very Muslim sounding name, another woman who is associated with the, sort of Team Red part of campus. So that doesn't really help at all. All right, we're talking with Matt Allen from WPRO in Providence about the Brown University shooting. We had a person of interest that was picked up. I guess that was Saturday evening. Do we know what led to them being suspicious of this guy and what made them let him go? Yeah, you know what? I think I actually got that. Right. Yeah. So let's talk about this mayor real quick. What was his name? Like Smiley yeah, yeah. I saw that it's only about 3.5 minutes to interview on Good Morning America. He didn't answer one question. Is he being coy or is he just, I don't know, normally a contemptible person? Okay. Bleh. All right. Real quick. I dug, and it wasn't a clip I was going to play anyway, but I had the whole interview saved and I found it.
Does the evidence suggest this was a student or someone from off campus?
We can't comment on that, and we're exploring all possible leads.
We don't even know if it's a student or someone off campus, Matt. Well, they better know something they're not telling us. Matt Allen, how do we find your work online, sir? All right. Good luck to your Patriots up there. Yeah, we're done. The Cowboys are done, but thank you very much. All right, you're going to hear more audio, some from the roommate, some from the news, the roommate of one of the victims, some from the news, some from the attorney, U.S. attorney out in California where they just busted another terror plot. So a lot to talk about. 800-288-9227 if you want to jump in. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. It was a rough weekend in the news. It's the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I mean, the top story getting headlines right now is the Brown University mass shooter, and that's because he's still on the loose. Now, in similar news, we had a terror attack that went down in Australia where we have, I think, over a dozen people. Is the number up to 14 now dead? And these were what appears to be reportedly, whatever, Muslim terrorists attacking a Jewish Hanukkah celebration on Bondi Beach in Australia. And, of course, we can just pretty easily glean what the motivation there is when you have two Muslim immigrants shooting at a Jewish celebration on, commemorating one of their holy days. I don't think that's much of a leap. You also have the problem with the American troops. There's only about 1,000 in Syria right now, but there was an attack on some American troops and 3 dead. 3 of our neighbors are dead from that. Also, not just happenstance people of the Islamic faith, but people that are doing what they're doing, their motivation, their modus operandi is guided by their religious fanaticism. And so there's a couple there. And then we have a situation in California where some people were arrested, and it sounds like that they were planning on a terror attack for New Year's Eve. So that's 3 out of the 4 top stories that are people who are going to go wreck shop based on their political or whatever ideology, religious ideology. These are Team Blue attacks. And the only question mark we have is because we don't know who did Brown yet, who did the shooting at Brown University. So let's go. We haven't talked much about the Los Angeles situation. Here is the local U.S. attorney there for California explaining this. We have a new issue here. The Turtle Island Liberation Movement. What is this?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Bill Asaley. I'm the head of the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Central District of California.
Hi, Bill.
Over the weekend, my office, along with the FBI, arrested members of a far-left, anti-government domestic terror cell who self-identify as the Turtle Island Liberation Front.
Hang on a
The
second.
individuals were arrested.
That sounds like me for a second there. An anti-government. How is this described? An anti-government something
Arrested on Friday as the Turtle Island.
Let me back up just a tad.
Along with the FBI, arrested members of a far-left, anti-government domestic terror cell who self-identify as the Turtle Island Liberation Front.
You know, I hate it when they call them anti-government because it makes you think that there's some sort of actual anarchist or they want government to be smaller or they sound like us, one of us, because I'm very anti-government. I think government should be less than 1/3 the size it is now. You can label me, but these guys aren't anti-government. If you want universal health care, you're not anti-government. You want government to control everybody's medical decision, who gets medical care and when they get it and how much they get it, whether or not they get a pill, a surgery, or euthanasia. That's not anti-government. That's giving more power. I mean, the ultimate power and control to government. But you also want, what do you want? Government schools. You want public transportation. You want public daycare. You're not anti-government. You're as pro-government as you can be. You want government to control every aspect of our lives. That is not anti-government. But I'm glad he did say far left.
The individuals were arrested on Friday, December 12th, when the group attempted to construct and detonate IEDs out in the desert. In addition to the arrests, we executed several search warrants throughout the nation. I want to thank our partners at the U.S.
All right, we're going to skip this part where he thanks people and go to the next relevant part. This is Bill Asaley, U.S. Attorney, explaining these arrests in California.
The charges we are announcing today stem from the defendants and their co-conspirators' detailed, coordinated plot to bomb multiple U.S. companies on New Year's Eve. Thankfully, that plot has now been foiled thanks to the hard work of the FBI and the Department of Justice.
All right, so they're bombing companies on New Year's Eve. What is this, the Fight Club? So there's another flavor of Team Blue doing a terror attack or getting close to doing a terror attack. So that's a lot going on. I can't believe we don't have this guy from the Brown shooting yet. There's a guy named Kamari Means. He is the reported roommate of one of the victims, the Uzbek kid. Sounds like a good guy.
Just a ball of joy, ball of energy. He's honestly make sure everybody else he raises everybody else a certain level. He makes sure you have your stuff done. He makes sure he has his stuff done. He's just always there. I mean, I can't say it's not my boss imaginations, because it's kind of become a mundane thing in America at this point. And I feel like it's so usual that everybody else are kind of like desensitized to it at some point. So when I heard it, it wasn't like, oh, it doesn't make sense, but it was like, oh, where's everybody else? Where's my loved ones? Where's my friends? Where can I count for everybody? So you start texting people, you start making sure everybody's safe. You know, you just got to be on your P's and Q's at that point.
You know what all these weren't? None of them were white rural rage like you were told about by MSNBC just last year. So I'm going to keep my eye on the manhunt for the Brown shooter. Right now, Donald Trump's taking questions at the Oval Office. I'll let you know if something springs out of that. Coming up next, more details on the attack in Syria, where we lost 3 of our neighbors. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Shocked that they still haven't caught the Brown University shooter. I'm keeping one eye on that for the whole show because I feel like it could be an any minute now thing. Like, how are they this bad at finding this guy? But that wasn't the only terrible thing. I really thought one of the first things I'd be talking about here today would be the attack in Syria, because it brings up all kinds of corollary questions. Okay, how many servicemen do we have? 1,000 in Syria? Yeah. Why? Well, to keep the Islamic State, to keep ISIS from taking over after this civil war that they had, where we got Bashar al-Assad out. Now some guy who used to be in Al-Qaeda is running the country. What could possibly go wrong? And we have soldiers there protecting that regime. What's going on? So there's all kinds of questions around that. It's not really that big of a deal unless people are dying on behalf of this policy. And now that they are, let's look at it. Here's
vowing to retaliate
this is WFAA, and the word that got cut off was Trump. Trump is vowing to retaliate.
After an ambush in Syria that killed 2 U.S. soldiers and an American interpreter. 3 other members of the U.S. military were also hurt. Officials say they were on a mission to meet with the community. They say the attacker was affiliated with ISIS and that attacker was later killed.
The new president of Syria is, as they told me, and I'm not surprised, he's devastated by what happened. This was an ISIS attack on us and Syria.
There are currently about 1,000 U.S. service members in eastern Syria working to prevent the resurgence of ISIS.
Could he stop giving sound bites in front of a running helicopter engine? But the Syria situation is something that has been on the back burner, but only because everything else is kind of being overhyped in the news more so than it should be. Did you know we still had troops there? I mean, 1,000 doesn't sound like much, but 1,000 troops, it was enough to get 3 of them killed. 2 troops and an interpreter killed, 3 other injured. So what are we doing? What do we have? We're sending soldiers to go have a meeting with the community? Is there a pickleball tournament? Is that what they're doing? They're going to the Boys and Girls Club for some after-school sports programs? They're going to play intramural softball? What are we doing over there? We're fighting against ISIS, understandable, but on behalf of a former Al-Qaeda fella? Doesn't make sense. We already kicked out the guy. I mean, the guy we kicked out, not a nice guy, Bashar al-Assad. I'm not a pro-Assad guy, but there are guys worse than him. At least he didn't have a Duck Dynasty beard. At least he didn't run around wearing pajamas all day. He wore a suit and tie. He had short hair. He had a mustache. He was like, what was he, like a dentist or an eye doctor or something? I think he was an eye doctor. Got like a Rand Paul. So the big question is, what are we even doing there? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's better for Syria. I don't know if it's better for us. But it seems like, our insistence on being in these arenas, some of it does have backlash. And I'm not saying Muslims would otherwise be, peaceful and a bunch of pacifists if we weren't over there. But I'm not sure if it's helping. I'm not sure if it's more good than bad. The other thing that's popping up is the Bondi terror attack that happened in Australia. And some headlines are saying it's a terror attack. Some are saying it's just a shooting, depending on what team you're trying to propagandize on behalf of. But I have a couple of sound bites on that are going to break that down, because it just sounds like your regular old terrorist attack that we've seen 1,000 times. A couple keys here, though, where it should be a huge story. Number one, it happened in Australia, which in the gun control debate world, Australia is a huge, huge target, because they had a mass shooting back in 95 or 96 or whatever it was. And they decided, well, that's enough. We're never going to go through this again. We're going to institute gun control. So they instituted gun control, and they still had mass shooting. So are they going to admit that the gun control didn't work? So there's a gun control element to this. There is a sort of war of religions on this, where it's Muslim terrorists. There's also the immigration question. Why, Australia, why are you importing all of these third world people? because most of the horrible news stories I see coming out of Australia, or a lot of them, I don't know if it's most, tend to involve these people that you're voluntarily importing at an incredible rate. You have one of the countries with one of the highest foreign-born populations. You sure that's a good idea? So there's a big trifecta on that story, and we'll break it all down for you next. The Bondi, Australia terror attack coming up on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Still, we haven't caught the shooter at Brown University. The manhunt underway. The other terror attacks, we talked about the Syria one in the last segment. This segment, we're going to do the one in Australia. I mean, I've given it a couple mentions, but we haven't really dug deep into this yet. If you're not familiar with it, here's the quick summary from WFAA this morning.
11 people were killed in what authorities say was a targeted terrorist incident in Australia. We do want to warn you, some of this video may be hard to see. It happened during a Hanukkah celebration on Sydney's Bondi Beach, around 9:30 local time on Sunday. Officials say more than 1,000 people were there when two gunmen opened fire. 11 people were killed, 29 more were hurt, including 2 police officers. Police say one of the suspected gunmen was killed, another was hurt. Police also found a bomb inside a car that they say is connected to one of the attackers. They are also calling this a targeted attack towards the Jewish community.
All right, so it's a terror attack. It's another Muslim terror attack, and this one is aimed at Jewish people specifically. I don't think we have to go too far out on the limb. I think you're still on the tree trunk hugging the bark if you want to speculate on what these people's motivation was. I mean, what do you think? It was a drug deal gone bad? Is that what you think it was? Do you think they were arguing over the Dallas Cowboys game yesterday? Was this yesterday or Saturday? Anyway, we know what it is. But we also have the incredible video that goes with it. I recommend not watching it, actually. I've been making a conscious effort over the last few years to not watch as much of this stuff. I'm drawn to it anyway, just because I'm a man and we have testosterone and we like seeing people fight and we like war. But I actually have to turn away from it, and purposefully so. I had another reminder of that this weekend. We had, God, this is a terrible story. Me and my eldest daughter, we were going to a volleyball tournament, and it's like 6 a.m. because it's a travel team, so we had to get on the road. There was a really bad car wreck that happened, and it must have happened right before we got to the intersection because the people were still in the car, and the first cop had just pulled up with his lights on, and he was just getting out of the car. There was debris everywhere. It was 2 cars. Both of them were really banged up. And it was at an intersection where you can kind of tell this must have been a really high-speed crash. And, oh, my God, I hope both of these people are okay. Someone ran a red light, I assume. There was one of the car doors was open, and you couldn't really see in the car because the airbag was taking up all the space where the driver would otherwise be. But you could see 2 legs sticking out sideways into the street. And the shoes were still on. Looked like someone wearing jeans. I couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman because I could really only see from about the waist down. And my daughter was kind of freaked out. She's like, "Oh my God, are they dead?" And I said, "Baby, we don't know. We don't know, but we're going to drive past this and we're going to try and go on about our lives." We talked about that for about half the trip to the volleyball tournament and for a good chunk of it on the way home when she wasn't taking a nap because she had just played 3 volleyball games. And so it was weird because I did think a lot about that. You know, you kind of want to go check the news. Are they okay? But you have so many of these instances on TV and really on your phone when you're just flipping through that you could watch. I've got to start skipping these. Now, what we have here in the Bondi, Australia situation, there's a father and son team. It's a guy who came from Syria in 2006. Got his citizenship in 2022. And for all the people who were whining into their wheat green tea last week about how I showed up in Boston at some naturalization ceremony and was detaining people and sending them home, and they were just doing the right thing. This is why we were doing it. We're trying to keep people like this out. Not everyone that comes here is a terrorist. Obviously not. And not all the terrorists are foreigners. But if Australia didn't have the immigration system that they have now, if they had the one that Donald Trump has now, where there's a list of countries where we're just not going to be accepting people, you'd have more than a dozen Australians still alive. Actually, that number's up to 15. 15 people killed in the shooting, in the Hanukkah attack. And we have about 2 dozen more that are injured off of that. Are we going to learn our lesson? Probably not, because we're too scared of being called racist. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, Joe Cardinale. You've seen him on Fox News 1,000 times. He's a former NYPD lieutenant commander. We're going to ask him about the bombing attack that was thwarted in Los Angeles, the terror attack in Bondi, the manhunt in Brown University, and the killing of Americans in Syria. Got a lot to talk about. So stick with us on The James Show. Let's turn our attention now to my friend Derek over here. He is with the folks up in Denton who take care of people with disabilities, just mental disabilities, the Denton State Living Center. And this is Neil Sperry's pet project. And on behalf of the great work of the radio legend Neil Sperry, we're going to take it on every year, whether he does it or not. So, Derek, how do people help out? Thank you, Derek. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, rocking a Merry Christmas on the James Show. News Talk 829.33 FM WBAP. What is this, Iron Maiden? I just told you I can't hear that. You can say it on the air. Who is it? Megadeth. I was close. Megadeth. Probably not appropriate for a show where we're talking about 4 different killings, but I got it. I got it. It's good music nonetheless. So what we have here is sort of 4. Isn't it 4 stories? We have the attack in Syria. We have the Bondi, Australia terror attack. We have the Brown University attack, and we have the terror plot that was foiled in Southern California. Now, 2 of them we know are Muslim terrorists. I'm leaning away from Muslim terrorism for the Brown attack and for the Los Angeles attack. Now, Los Angeles, they were called far left anti-government groups. That's not how they would describe Muslim terrorists. That's how you describe the Antifa people. That's how you describe the group that got together and shot up the Alvarado facility, the ICE facility in Alvarado here in North Texas. They got together and some crazy guy shot up the ICE facility in McAllen or the ICE facility in Dallas. That was just the one guy by himself. But those were all of like mind. Same guy, same group, same ideology, same demographics probably, of the dude who shot Charlie Kirk. So that's what I'm guessing for that situation. In the Brown University one, we don't even know a color of the dude. Some people are saying he must have been a student, maybe a current student, maybe a former student. But he went into a 7-story tall building, knew where he was going apparently, went to one specific room, shot and killed a couple of people, and then there was some just chaotic bystanders that got hurt as well. And then he exited the scene. Now, in the traditional thing of what we consider a mass shooting, usually they just sit there and they kill as many people as they can before someone with a gun shows up and takes them out. And that's the model for 2, the suicide bomber style Muslim shooters, like a Pulse nightclub, San Bernardino, that situation. Or the guys that are just psycho and they want to inflict as much pain and damage on the outside world as they can before they get a clean suicide by cop. What we don't have is any evidence that it's a right winger. I mean, not that anyone in a MAGA hat's ever done any shooting ever. But from the video we can see, he wasn't wearing a MAGA hat, and that's about all we can tell. In fact, they look like silhouettes. I'm not sure if you could find worse video of a suspect that you were trying to wave down. Joe with us? Yeah. All right, Joe Cardinale's. Hey, Joe. He's a former lieutenant commander with the NYPD. You see him on Fox News quite a bit. Joe Cardinale's coming back on the James Show. Good to talk to you again. Terrible circumstances. Can I start with the Brown University shooting? How surprised are you that we're still in a manhunt 48 hours later? It feels like the Luigi Mangione situation, except, we had a manhunt for a couple days, but we at least had an idea of who this guy was. We at least had pictures of this guy, so we knew who we were looking for. Here we are 2 days out, manhunt still going on. I don't even know this guy's face. So, what do you think, Joe Cardinale, of the theories that this guy may have been a student because he went into a big building, went to a specific room, and it looks like he killed a specific person, and then there was a bunch of bystanders who happened to get, I don't know, stray bullets, or he was trying not to get overrun or whatever. But there seemed to be some sort of plan here. This wasn't him going into a movie theater and just squeezing off rounds into whoever was closest. Joe Cardinale, can you stick with me for another segment? I want to ask you about the plot that was busted in California. You got some more time for me? Are you busy? All right, I appreciate that. We will continue with retired Lieutenant Commander from the NYPD, Joe Cardinale, on the James Show to talk about the other mass shootings that happened over the weekend and a terror plot. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, homeowners, James Parker here for Rhino Shield, because that's what your house really wants for Christmas. Your house doesn't want a sweater. Your house doesn't need another tie. It doesn't want to get the beaver slippers from Buc-ee's. Your house wants Rhino Shield. And the reason why your house wants Rhino Shield, number one, it just looks good. Number two, it has insulation factors, so it'll keep your house cooler in the summer, warmer in the winter, so your house will be more comfortable. That explains a lot. Your house would like to be able to block all these UV rays. It just doesn't want to sit there soaking up a bunch of radiation that it doesn't have to. It wants to save you money on your energy costs. Also, you can come back in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20, 25 years, and that house is still going to look good. So that's why your house wants Rhino Shield. Don't get it a gift certificate. Don't get it a vacuum. Don't get it a scale to weigh itself on. You know, these are bad gift ideas. Good gift idea, Rhino Shield. If you go ahead and make the call before the holidays are up, you can get 20% off if you mention the James Show. And if you need help paying for it, you can get financing and put it on a low monthly payment. So if you want to make your house happy, get him what he really wants for Christmas, Rhino Shield. Go to rhinoshielddfw.com. All right, fellow Texans. Bang your head. It's the James Show. News Talk 829 33 WPP. Yeah. We're continuing with Joe Cardinale, retired lieutenant commander from the NYPD. And let's move over to this case that popped off in Southern California, where I was looking at the press conference. I watched the press conference with the acting U.S. attorney over there, and he was not telling us who it is, but by not telling us who it is, he kind of told us who it is. Does that make sense, Joe Cardinale? Well, the thing that concerns me about this case more so than like the Brown situation, Brown University situation, is that's like one guy. That's one dude who decides, I'm going to go crazy, and there's nobody next to me to go, hey, maybe we shouldn't do that. It's just one guy doing a lone wolf thing. This, on the other hand, has a similar concern to what we saw here in Alvarado at the ICE facility, and the fact that there's coordination between many people. And I find that concerning because, you know, anybody can be a crazy person and come up with crazy ideas, but when they can congregate together in big groups and there's not any voice of reason in there going, maybe we shouldn't pipe bomb people on New Year's Eve. That's where I get worried, Joe. So, Joe Cardinale, I'm under the impression that these are local guys. They're domestic terrorists. You know, they could be a sleeper cell, but still be American, I guess, and fit the definition. But you almost hinted that you think they're foreigners. I absolutely agree. Still shocked we haven't caught this Brown University guy. You think he's going to get away? Well, I like your optimism, Joe Cardinale. I appreciate you being on the James Show. It's just when the Brown thing popped off, people were all immediately barking about gun control, as they often do. And then almost immediately after that, we had the terror attack in Australia, where they have all the gun control policies that's on the wish list. And then we also had the plot broke up with pipe bombs that wasn't gun related at all. So even if you took away all the guns, that terror attack was still underway. So it's been a whirlwind over this week, and I appreciate your input, sir. Thank you much. Joe Cardinale, retired lieutenant commander from the NYPD and Fox News contributor. I appreciate it again. Coming up next on the James Show, Rob Reiner died. That's really sad. We'll talk about that next. But I want to bring in my friend Darren here, and he is doing something very important for the Denton State Living Center. Longtime WBAP listeners, this is a familiar time of year for you. This is when we ask you to step up and help some of the people in Denton that otherwise wouldn't get help. All right, thank you, Derek. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. So I think Meathead got murdered. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. You've probably heard by now, Rob Reiner passed away. He and his wife have passed away. We think murdered by their son. And I don't keep up with celebrity gossip very well, but apparently some people were not surprised by this because Rob Reiner's son has not been mentally well in the public space. He has addiction issues in his recent history. He's written a book about it, made a movie about it. I've heard some not nice things about Rob Reiner as a person, which I take these things with a grain of salt because some of my best friends are, I don't know, other people would consider them very mean or gruff or offensive or something. Some people say that about me, besides Sean. And let's just put all that to the side. Some people focus on the fact that he was an outspoken liberal activist and just really hateful to not just Trump, but anyone who supports Trump. And he has some real low negative opinions about you. But I'm so over that because that's the way Hollywood's been my entire life. So why would I be shocked by that? I'm shocked when they're not like that, actually. And so Rob Reiner's death isn't a political animal to me at all. I feel sorry for the guy. I feel sorry for his family. I feel sorry for his wife. I feel sorry for all the friends and people who actually knew him who are going to have a void in their life by this. I mean, my sadness is tempered by the fact that he was 78. Not that you deserve to be murdered if you're old, but he did get to live most of his life. I mean, what did he have left? Like 2% of his life left? But I have no problems with feeling empathy or at least sympathy for the guy just because he didn't agree with me politically. I think I'm in a different boat than a lot of America, though, because if you're a hardcore Republican or just a casual Republican, then half the country's supposed to hate when you die. You're supposed to hate when half the country dies. If you're a Democrat, same. But if you're a libertarian, what am I supposed to hate it when everybody dies? No, I can't celebrate anyone's death. Like if Vince Vaughn dies or Ron Paul dies, then I can be upset. No, I can't live by those rules. There's not enough people that agree with me politically for me to be tribal like that. But this is most certainly sad. This is unfortunate because if it's true, the rumors and, the arrest of his son, he got killed by his own kid. That is just awful. Here's WFAA with a better summary.
New this morning, some shock and sadness across Hollywood right now. Legendary filmmaker Rob Reiner and his wife found dead in their home. Sources say the couple was stabbed in their Brentwood neighborhood house in Los Angeles. LAPD says so far they've made no arrests and don't have a suspect, but it is a case shocking so many. Rob Reiner made many famous friends during his career in Hollywood. According to a neighbor, actors Larry David and Billy Crystal were seen at the home Sunday evening. He became a household name playing Archie Bunker's son-in-law, Mike Stivic, on the iconic sitcom All in the Family. Then moving behind the camera, directing classics like his debut, This is Spinal Tap, and then some of the most beloved films of all time, including The Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, and A Few Good Men. Overnight, reactions pouring in. Actor Josh Gad calling Reiner one of the greatest directors of our time. He was simply a beautiful person. Director Paul Feig calling him a true visionary titan and a lovely, lovely person. And former President Barack Obama writing that Reiner's career gave us some of our most cherished stories on screen. But beneath all of those stories he produced, was a deep belief in the goodness of people. Rob Reiner was 78 years old.
All right, put politics aside. Do you realize what this guy did in movies? Do you realize the range this guy had? His first movie is This is Spinal Tap. His first movie that he directed is a classic. What are the odds? Imagine you start being a songwriter today and the first song you write goes to number one. The odds of that are almost zero. You understand how amazing that is? So then he went from a ridiculous, whimsical slapstick comedy to his next movie was Stand By Me, the coming of age movie. River Phoenix, Will Wheaton, Jerry O'Connell. What was one of the Coreys was in it? Corey Feldman, wasn't it? That was a novella from Stephen King. You understand that? The godfather of the horror genre, the greatest horror writer of our lifetimes. He went from whimsical comedy. He went from Saturday Night Live sketch genre to Stephen King and did it successfully and did it well. So that's just mind-blowing. And then his next movie after that, The Princess Bride. Back to comedy. This one's not nearly as, slapsticky and stupid. It's, more childish and fantasy. But then he did When Harry Met Sally. And then he's like, all right, well, that's 2 comedies in a row. I got to go back to crazy, scary stuff. And he did Misery. And then can you do something in the middle? Can you do like a courtroom drama? Yeah, A Few Good Men. And then there's just a ton of stuff that he's worked on. And it's a body of work that I don't care if he disagrees with me politically. What an amazing job this guy could do making movies. That my kids love The Princess Bride. I like The Princess Bride. That movie still stands up, and here it is, almost 40 years later? So, yeah, an amazing guy. The other part of this story that kind of stabs at me is, wrong choice of words, sorry. The other part of this story that really sticks with me is it was his son. And Rob Reiner doesn't have just one kid. He has more than one kid. And seeing as how some of his kids can be normal, when you have a crazy son, sometimes it's not your fault. Sometimes you didn't do anything wrong. Sometimes you have a son and maybe, of course, you didn't do a perfect job raising him, but sometimes he's just born with some sort of chemical imbalance or some sort of mental shortcoming, or some decent people end up just giving birth to the 1 or 2% of us who end up being psychopaths and sociopaths. Some of us have normal kids who themselves draw down their personality and their morality with addiction issues over the years. So I don't know who to blame for this, but it's just super sad. One of the great movie icons of your lifetime may have just been killed by his own son. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Coming up next on The James Show, families out there, if you're looking to have a great holiday experience with you and your kids, something than just giving them a gift, the Harry Potter exhibit's coming to town. Details next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Merry Christmas, fellow Texans. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Welcome back to the big show. Oh, I know. Good to see you, too. Good to see you, too. So I have 4 kids. My 4 kids like Harry Potter. And so out of a little bit of self-interest here and maybe my little research for my family can help you with a little research for your family. The Harry Potter exhibition is coming to town. And my kids are big enough fans that they might like to go to this. And one of the reasons I find this so compelling, so interesting, is because it's one thing to get a kid a present. You can get them like a little piece of plastic and it'll be tore up and gone in a year or two. But if you give them an experience, this is something that you can have a conversation about afterwards. You can have a conversation about it a month later. They will have conversations about it with their kid when they sit down and watch Harry Potter, when they get to show their kids this movie series that they watched when they were little, and their kids are going to love it too. And they can say, yeah, I remember back in the day I went to the Harry Potter exhibition. So this isn't just a gift, and it's an experience, and that's so much better. Now, to help make a little bit more sense of explaining what this is, because I actually haven't been myself, this is Mark Locke from Imagine Exhibitions. Thanks for coming on the James Show. Okay, so the Harry Potter exhibition, it's going to be at Pepper Square. That's Preston and Beltline. Yeah, we know where that's at. You know, I don't even have to put that in my phone. But what are you going to, do you have like one of the spaces in the strip mall there? All right, that already sounds better because it sounds like you set up a tent in the parking lot like the circus. You know, we're okay. Hang on. Can we call them artifacts though? That's the weird word for. I like that. I like that. You know, movie memorabilia is something that is an attraction on itself. However, y'all actually have some setups. It sounds like some of the settings from the movie y'all have staged. I know what you're going to say. You mean the houses like Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Slytherin, and Ravenclaw, if I remember correctly. Hey, that does. Hang on, I'm sorry to interrupt. Doesn't everybody want to be Gryffindor though? Is it like 90% Gryffindor? Oh, you're a Hufflepuff? Am I the only Slytherin in the house? Thank you. Oh no, I'm more Slytherin because I think goth girls are cute. That's what I like. A round of goth girls, yeah. Okay, so there's a magic wand involved. Now that's an artifact, yeah. All right, Mark Locke, how much does it cost? How long does it take? All right, I got 30 seconds left. What are how long is it on? What are the times? Well, I missed it, but yeah. Fantastic. That website, dallas.harrypotterexhibition.com. Gotcha. Thank you very much. It's Mark Locke from Imagine Exhibitions. Thank you very much for telling us about the Harry Potter exhibition. I'm probably going to get guilted into going, so thanks for the info. I'll like it too. I actually like the movies. All right. Coming up next on the James Show, we have some more terrible news from the headlines to tell you about, but I'll try and put a good spin on them. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Can we turn our attention to my other friend of the day, Derek? And Derek is doing something for some less fortunate in our community. And when I say less fortunate here, I actually mean it. Not some people who can't go get their nails done 3 times a month. I'm talking about people who are spending their lives in a facility because they are disabled. And the state will take care of them, make sure they have a place to live, make sure they have food, make sure they have medicine. But that's about it. If they want to have anything else as far as life goes, as far as experience goes, it comes from you. And so that's where Derek can explain that, like, everything that they do that's besides just basically keeping them alive comes from the generosity of our donors. Thank you, Derek. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, sports fans, James Parker here for the Prize Picks app. Now that the Cowboys are, just for real done, just mathematically speaking, the only way you can enjoy the rest of their season is the Prize Picks app. I would say that for our friends up in Kansas City, too, if our signal gets up that far. Your season's done, too. But, look, the Prize Picks app, it's so good. It makes the Cowboy season enjoyable for the last, 3 games of nothingness. But it's part of the reason I like it is because it's so easy. If you want to make a lineup, you got to look at 2 to 6 people on your team, and you look at their statistics. And what about passing touchdowns? Okay, what about passing yards? Okay, what about rushing yards? And you find one that looks a little off, and you pick more or less on it. And once you make your lineup of 2 to 6 people, the football happens. And whether you watch it or not, you can just check your phone like me when you're playing with your kids, turn a little bit of money into a lot of money. And you can do it with America's #1 daily fantasy sports app, Prize Picks. Over the weekend, I crossed $1,000. I have over $1,000 in winnings. James, how much have you lost on Prize Picks? We're not going to talk about that. But we can't talk about how I've won over $1,000. If I can do it, you can do it. So download the Prize Picks app, use promo code WBAP, and you get $50 in lineups with your first $5 lineup. Download Prize Picks, use promo code WBAP, get $50 in lineups with your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Hey, y'all mind if I call an audible right here? It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. We're finally getting some new info from the authorities, news conference on the Brown University shooting. We have new footage that they are just showing for the first time at this press conference that I just watched on the break there. They're also saying they believe the guy's still armed and dangerous. You want to pick up just some of this real quick from Fox News? See, that is not helpful. All right, so there's some new info being passed along. It looks like, rightfully so, they're not going to tell us if they know where he's at or anything too detailed that would give away how hot they are on his trail. But at least here's something. Now, here's what you can't see. These videos are terrible. These videos look like... Remember when they sent the Mars rover? And how disappointing it was when they're like, we've landed this go-kart on Mars and it can send pictures back to Earth. And it was sending you like grainy black and white pictures, like it looked like a surveillance camera at 7-Eleven in 1997. It's like, what did y'all send a camcorder up there? What is your problem getting a decent camera? Come on. But here's another sad part. It looks like these videos aren't coming from Brown University. It looks like these videos aren't coming from official sources. It looks like these are just people's Ring doorbell camera. Or I have like a little camera on the corner of my garage that kind of looks down the driveway, and then I have one at the front of my house that looks at the whoever's coming to the front door. It looks like someone's garage cam, kind of. But I thought we were supposed to be surveilled every second of every step we take on a college campus. You know, it's a government facility. Safety is our paramount concern. If safety is really your paramount concern, you make it a gun-free zone, and then you don't put cameras anywhere and say, what could possibly go wrong? Why would anybody want to do a mass shooting here? So that's a terrible kind of lesson I'm gleaning from this already. It's just, I mean, could you come up with a better scenario for someone to commit a murder? Hey, let's do it on this building where no one's going to be armed and there's not going to be any cameras around and the doors aren't locked. It's just you go in there, you wreck shop. If anyone tries to stop you, you can just shoot your way out because you'll be the only armed person on campus. It's the perfect place to murder somebody. And so here's what, again, this is near baseless speculation. But if this was just some guy who had a beef with that one girl, I think the real lesson here is he didn't go shoot her at Starbucks. He didn't go shoot her at the laundromat. He didn't go shoot her when she was in her car. He didn't go shoot her when she was at any number of vulnerable spots, because the king vulnerable spot for our children, and well, our young adult college student children, is a college campus. The most dangerous place for someone to try and avoid murder. Is it not a college campus? That's just my thoughts here. Coming up next on the James Show, we're going to play Dead or Alive. And in honor of Rob Reiner, we're going to do a Rob Reiner themed Dead or Alive. All these people that I'm going to list, dead or alive, I list 10 celebrities. You tell me if they're dead or alive. They are in Rob Reiner movies. And I really only used 3 movies. That's all it took to come up with the list because his movies are epic. But today we're going to be playing for 2 tickets to see Satch Vai. That's the band featuring Joe Satriani and Steve Vai. They are going to come to Music Hall at Fair Park April 17th. You can either win tickets from me now by calling 800-288-9227, or you can go to livenation.com. But why don't you at least try to win them from the James Show? Call 800-288-9227. Dead or Alive next on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. You are just in time for another great episode of Dead or Alive. All right. Thank you, Mr. Jovi. Welcome to today's episode of Dead or Alive. I am your host, James Parker. Dead or Alive is the James Show game show where I give you a list of 10 celebrities. You tell me if they're dead or alive. James, that sounds easy. It is. It's real easy. That's why the phone's already full. But today we're playing for 2 tickets to see Satch Vai, Joe Satriani, and Steve Vai. They just crammed their names together and went on tour. They'll be at Music Hall at Fair Park on April 17th. You're going to have to get tickets and information at livenation.com. But you can hear somebody win some tickets right now. Let's start with Cyril in Mesquite. You ready for Dead or Alive?
I'm ready.
All right, Cyril. Remember, today's category is all Rob Reiner. And I just went through 3 of the movie cast for this, my 3 favorite Rob Reiner movies. Starting off with Christopher Guest. He was in Spinal Tap and Princess Bride. Dead or alive?
He's alive.
77 years old. Andre the Giant from Princess Bride. Dead or alive?
He is dead.
Died in 2023. Sean Wallace, the guy who says inconceivable in Princess Bride, is he dead or alive?
He's alive.
82 years old. Sean Wallace still with us. Corey Feldman from Stand By Me, dead or alive?
He's still alive.
54 years old. Peter Falk, the grandpa in Princess Bride, dead or alive?
He's alive.
Peter Falk is dead, Cyril. Dang it. You were doing so well, sir.
Yes.
All right, better luck next time. Let's go up to Capel.
Okay.
Dave and Capel, you're next. Are you ready for Dead or Alive?
I'm ready.
All right. We are on Kiefer Sutherland. He was in Stand By Me, dead or alive?
Alive.
58 years old. Billy Crystal in Princess Bride, dead or alive?
Alive.
Alive, 77 years old. Harry Shearer, who is in Spinal Tap, dead or alive?
Dead.
I mean, sorry. No, he's alive. He's 81 years old, though. That's a decent guess, sir. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
So close. Let's go to David in Burleson. It's just Dave Day, I guess. Hey, David, you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, well, we only have 2 left for you to get the ticket, so good luck here. The next one, Michael McKean. He was in Spinal Tap, dead or alive?
He's alive.
78 years old. And finally, from Stand By Me, River Phoenix, dead or alive?
He is dead.
Died in 1993. Thank you very much, David in Burleson. Are you a Satch Vai fan? Are you a Joe Satriani and or Steve Vai fan?
Steve Vai.
Yeah, I didn't know they had gotten together and went on tour, so that's pretty cool. All right, well then, if you're going to claim the tickets, I'll put you on hold, let you talk to one of the Garretts.
I will claim the tickets and talk to Garrett.
All right, well then, that's another successful edition of Dead or Alive. And for all the kids out there who aren't as cool as David in Burleson, you can go get your tickets at livenation.com. Coming up next, we're going to get an update on the end of the Cowboy season, pretty much. I know technically they have a few more games, but it ain't happening, y'all, and I told you. But we'll get an update from our buddy John Ingham from the Weekend crew here. A couple of interesting things here, and we're done with Mr. Jovi if you want to kill that. A couple of interesting things that get brought up by comedians, and I like to take some of the political stuff and just kind of throw it in front of you because it's fun. This is a guy named Jimmy Carr. Now, Jimmy Carr is no right-winger. He's one of these atheists who makes fun of people who believe in God and things like that. But he's not completely out of his mind when it comes to economics. Now, he also does a little bit of crowd work, where someone from the crowd shouts something out and he has to respond to it. And so some lady asked him about Ticketmaster, which is a weird thing to ask somebody who's on a stage with tickets that are sold by Ticketmaster. Of course he's going to like them. Of course he's going to like Ticketmaster.
What do I think about what?
Ticketmaster.
What do I think about Ticketmaster? I like them. What's not to like about Ticketmaster?
As a purchaser?
As a purchaser? Yeah, you know you can not go to the show. I always think like Ticketmaster always get like given a hard time. People going, oh, it was £400 to see Taylor Swift. Well, don't go.
I wanted to come see you.
You wanted to come see me? It looks like you did great.
She somehow persevered through the hell that is capitalism, made it to the show. And then he does another summary. This is great.
I don't know. You might object to capitalism, and Ticketmaster are a very good example of the capitalist market. And capitalism is a terrible system apart from all the others. A bunch of young people seem to have fallen in love with communism again. Communism's a great idea, wrong species. The thing about capitalism is it kind of leans into what we are. We're quite self-interested. All of you are communists with your family. If you've got kids, you're a communist at home. Each, according to their needs, you take care of them. Of course you do. And as things get wide in your local community, you might be a socialist. Try and help everyone out. And then you get up to nation-state level and you go, yeah, those guys.
All right, with that, let's bring in Derek. He's with the Denton State Living Center, and we do this every Christmas on behalf of our friend Neil Sperry. We raise money for some of these people, and tell them, what are some of the activities that their money brings? All right, thank you very much. That's Derek. 214-525-2550. Your Cowboys update next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, it's all over but the crying. We're talking about the Dallas Cowboys. It's the James Show on News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker, with John Ingham. You can hear him on the weekends here on WBAP. And this may be our last Cowboys report period, point blank, end of story. They are all but mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. Even if they get there, they're going to be a limping hot mess. So, John Ingham, your thoughts on yesterday's game? Well, let me tell you how much the Parker instinct was on the money here. Because as a lifelong Cowboys fan, I was born into this. I didn't get to choose it. We were watching a movie before the Cowboys game started, and it went long, and we were going to miss the beginning of the Cowboys game. And the family kind of looks at me, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's almost 7:30. Can we finish the movie?" I'm like, "Yeah, we can finish the movie. Don't you dare worry about it." And so I didn't come into the game until a little late. But hey, we were tied. I was okay. Let's watch a little bit of this. And then I watched a couple of them. It looked like a couple of baboons trying to make love with a piece of sports equipment to replicate the saying that I'm not allowed to say on the radio. And we shuffled the kids to bed. And Miss Parker's like, you want to watch the rest of the game, or you want to come to bed early with me? And I had to find out what the score was in the morning, because the Cowboys cannot compare to Miss Parker, especially when they're not going to make the playoffs. Miss Parker. So I my spidey sense watched that game for about a quarter and a half, and I was done, John. True. That's so harsh. Okay, but John, well, I think this is sort of the context clues that flip my brain off when our awesome kicker, who has been just an absolute howitzer cannon from anywhere on the field, missed a couple. Yeah, and one of them, I mean, look, he missed a 51-yarder, and we all slap our forehead like, oh, I can't believe he missed that. But when we were kids, a 51-yarder was amazing and almost unheard of. Understandable. Well, God, John, that means we had 6 drives that stalled into field goal attempts. That's not going to get it done. I'll tell you what else kind of breaks my heart about yesterday is the 2 ACLs that rocked the world. Number 1, Patrick Mahomes. Number 2, Micah Parsons. I love both of those guys. I wish nothing but the best for them. But man, how just terrible is that to see probably the top offensive player and top defensive player both be lost for a year? Yeah, totally agree. Micah Parsons and Patrick Mahomes. Love both of those dudes. All right. Well, John Ingham, thank you very much for the sad, pathetic summary for the end of the hopes for the Cowboys 2025 season. Thank you, sir. Yep. Made my show so bright and sunny. All right. That's going to do it for the James Show. Stick around. Coming up next, the great one, Mark Levin. In the meantime, if you need more James Show action, I'm about to get over on this computer and put up the podcast if you want to go check that out later. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.